how good can this $20 FLISSA Bushcraft knife that is sporting a 0 degree Scandi grind built out of D2 steel, sporting some definite BECKER vibes, really be? Well, that's what we're gonna discover today together as I thrash on this tool in the Blade Boot Camp to see if it actually has some capabilities, or is it just a bundle of misconceptions and misunderstandings of not only what a bushcraft knife should be, but also what materials it should be made of. Thanks for joining me today, guys. If you're new to the channel, I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Let's go ahead and dive on in.
Dang, got a little excited there. Now, guys, I apologize ahead of time. I've been dealing and getting over a massive head cold, one of the worst I've had in a while, so if I sound a little nasally, I apologize. But I want to kick things off by running in size dimensions, a few knives that I'm sure you guys are thinking of when you look at this FLISSA, and we're going to be talking about how this stacks up to those a little bit later on. But I wanted to run in the BECKER Tweener series. I don't know, I'll probably run in the 19, the Nesmuck version. You can see this is dimensionally very similar. It even is like slightly shorter on the blade length because it's 4 1/4 overall, 4 inches cutting edge on this FLISSA. But then when we run in the BECKER BK2, which it shares the most dimensions and kind of vibe with, the BECKER BK2 obviously dwarfs it, and it's very similar in dimensions to your Mora companions. So it's going to be in that size range as we are looking at this. Now, the thing that I want to address first is the grind as it comes to you with a 0 degree edge, also known as a true Scandi. And true Scandis are awesome for very fine, precise cutting because they are very thin behind the edge, but the downside is that makes them very delicate to abuse, and they don't hold up to that. So when you start side splitting, batoning, going through harder materials, going through knots, those type of things, you will often see very quickly either chipping or rolling depending on the type of steel. That's why a lot of Scandi grinds are actually modified Scandis with a micro bevel. And I'm going to show you in a little bit how you can actually put one on this, and we'll see how it performs that way. But I wanted to see how a D2 steel blade, and FLISSA states that they do Rockwell 58 to 63, which is a large margin, how long it would last before we start seeing damage to this type of grind. And it lasted about 5 minutes because what I started with was doing some simple feather sticking, got a few done with that, and then I started to do some chest lever grips just to shape a piece of wood into a spear point, went through a knot, and as soon as I was done with that knot, I had about a 1/2 inch toothy damaged edge because of that knot and doing that chest lever grip. It's disappointing, but it's kind of what I was expecting. Now, I wanted to see how chopping would not only work with this, but also if that would cause immediate, like, catastrophic damage. And to be honest, I was shocked that it didn't create more damage, and it seemed to hold up okay to that type of impact. So I came back here to the Blade Boot Camp, and I wanted to just see if anything else would cause damage. Now, it just ate up like the giant hemp rope that I have, other cordage, cardboard. You know, it's still absolutely, even though it's got that toothiness on it, carved. I haven't honed it in the footage that you're seeing. But when I started doing like the mini hemp rope and started doing the push cut, again, super easy because of that type of grind, but I got some more damage right up near the front, and when I started batoning, it's not catastrophic. I'm glad that it's not catastrophic. I have seen certain types of blades that just get so toothy and warped, and I mean, it's bad. So the durability was a little bit better than I was expecting overall, but for me personally, I would prefer this in this style to have a micro bevel, now having seen how this works. So let's modify this Scandi and then see how it performs and holds its edge after we tune that. All right, so a true Scandi is actually very easy to resharpen. And if I wanted to keep the same edge geometry, all I would literally do is lay it down flat and then kick it up till the edge contacts with it. I've found that pullback motions are the best for 0 degree edges like this, and that would just keep that grind. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to add a little bit of a bevel to this. So what do? Well, we're going to put it over to the core side, just making sure I'm on the core side. And now all you have to do is match where the grind would be, and then you kick up a few degrees more. And then making sure to roll and make sure that the tip is in contact the whole time. You're going to start doing that. And I'm going to do about 5 passes this way. There's lots of different techniques. This is just what works for me. What I'm doing is creating a micro bevel. So I don't know how well it's gonna show up on frame, but I have a nice little micro bevel on there. It took me about 10 minutes with my WORKSHARP field sharpener here. And guys, since day one, I have used this for about 80% of not only my just resharpening, but also reprofiling like we're doing in this video on a field sharpener from WORKSHARP. So I'll have a link below over to these, as well as the FLISSA and the competitive options a little bit later that we're gonna talk about. So if you're interested, I think everybody should have one of these in their kit. And it is a total workhorse. And leave a comment if you own one of those. I'd love to know the consensus from you guys, but that's been my go-to for years. Now, with the micro bevel, we don't want to lose finesse, but we want to add strength. That's what we're doing. We want to keep that edge longer without losing too much finesse. So we're going to see if what I've done here, if it still damages really quick, or if it'll hold that edge a lot better with the harder abuse, but not lose that finesse. So let's find out.
And guys, I do want to invite you to hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, to consider subscribing, becoming part of the GT crew here, making sure to hit the bell icon so that you can be notified every week when I put up new videos just like this. And it is truly you, the viewers, in partnership with our regular sponsors that help me to get out here, test out gear and equipment to show you what their capabilities are, what their limiting factors may be, so that you can make a wise choice on whether or not they should be put into your rotation. And I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, which is Hardside Hydration. Now, you guys know I've been using my Hardside Hydration Swig rig systems for the past few years when I go out on my adventures. So if you're already familiar with them and you haven't scored one yet, now is the perfect time to do so with summer right around the corner. Now, if you've never heard of Hardside Hydration before, what it does is it gives you a hands-free straw so you can use it and sip, but instead of it being attached to one of those cumbersome, leaky, headache to clean water bladders that has to ride inside your pack and take up a bunch of space, it can attach to any largemouth water bottle with the original Swig rig, as well as any 28mm mouthed water bottle with the ultralight Swig rig, giving you the ability to have a more durable water system on the exterior of your pack so you can see the levels and be able to refill a lot easier and giving you a much more streamlined cleaning process. So guys, I'll have a link in the description box below over to the Hardside Hydration website where you can explore all the different variants that are available, and I'll also include my 10% off promo code you can apply towards your purchase. So I invite you to explore, check it out, and get yourself that hands-free hydration without all the headache of those cumbersome water bladders.
Well, I would say when it comes to precision, we haven't lost anything there with that micro bevel. That is awesome. Very pleased with that. First time, it went really fast. I'm probably having to put a little more pressure, but that's still a very fast, very clean cut. Now, Scandis are definitely not my first choice for food prep, but this is doing good, going right through that rind. Nice. Yeah. Just do some really just abusive kind of, there's a knot right there. I'm gonna see if it causes damage, kind of like the last time. Just pushing really aggressively through some of these knots. I'm gonna lightly hack this. Get through that knot. I'm looking and I am not seeing any light glinting or any damage yet. Okay, so I'm happy so far. That's outlasting the other one. So there it is, proof that putting a micro bevel on a true Scandi isn't gonna detract too much out of the finesse. I mean, I had to put slightly more pressure when I was doing a feather sticker going through the hemp rope than I did when it was zeroed, but the trade-off in durability that we immediately see is well worth any lag, and it's very minute, in finesse. Now, to be honest, I do wish that they sent this to you with a modified grind, but as I've shown, you know, with a simple sharpening system and 10 minutes of elbow grease, you can far and away add to the durability of this tool. And being 5/30 seconds, it's like 0.15 on the stock thickness with a razor sharp flamethrower level 90-degree spine on it. So it's very easy to get, you know, sparks going or scrape. With this, I would say compete with anything from like BPS knives or some of those other Ukrainian companies that are producing stuff, as well as any sort of Mora. You're gonna see at least the same performance and capability, but we're getting that, again, full tane construction. Oh, and I just forgot. We got to do the tip test, the standardized, you know, 5 strikes in the 2x4. We'll do that a little bit later after we talk handle.
Now, you guys might be really surprised by what I'm about to say here with these handle scales, but these are actually better, in my opinion, than the Greivery versions that come standard on your K-Bar BECKER knives, because These are G10 and there is mild texturing. It's not a lot, but there's just a little bit to give you that grip and feel that the Gravity models just don't give you, and there's, you know, slick. So I like that aspect. You can get these with, I think, a green micarta. I know there's G10 and micarta. So that's not bad, and fills out my hand well, a little bit of space before that bird beak. The bird beak I absolutely was able to grip to do little hacking moves if you want. You're gonna have 2 lanyards. That's kind of interesting. We don't see that a whole lot. One on the back, and then they did do one up near the front. Now it's pretty small. I don't feel like that's affecting, you know, like structural density, durability of the knife in any way, but if you wanted a front lanyard, you could definitely do it. It's a light tool, so I mean, you're gonna be doing little things like your thickness of your thumb or shaping of wood. You do have 3 bolts right there to keep it in place. I did have a little bit of shifting with my initial chopping, and I just had to tighten it down a little bit, and that has alleviated the problem. No lips, and though the G10 handles are flat on the sides, I mean, they are blocky, the shoulders are machined really well. I mean, there's no hot spots, it just feels a little blocky. Think of like an Ontario Rat model series back in the day with G10. That's how it feels, and with the size of the knife, it definitely is usable, and even in a reverse grip, I was able to get definitely some chest lever pulls without issue. So I would say it's a very generic handle, but it actually in some ways beats out the American competition in the BECKER series and how it feels. Now the sheath is pretty straightforward. You're not gonna get a lot of slaps, so it's quiet. I can't quite tell if it's actual real leather or pleather. This kind of feels like, you know, that pleather, but then you have that, I don't know, textured backer. So I don't know. I mean, it seems to be decent stitching right there. You got a button snap that is solid. And then when you remove it, I haven't nicked the strap yet. And then you have a decent little belt strap. It is right hand only, but for 20 bucks, I've definitely seen worse sheaths on the market.
Now let's wrap up durability before I give you my final thoughts with just a quick tip test. And I'm pleased to report that it passed with flying colors. It didn't have any snapping, any dulling, or issues after doing the 5 strikes with lateral side to side into a 2x4. So pleased with that result. And my final thoughts, guys, I was not expecting anything out of a sub $25 Chinese-made D2 Scandi knife. I was like, this thing is gonna be garbage on every level. And I'm actually, once the micro bevel was on it, for that price, it's definitely competitive with blades like the Moras and BPS knives as well. And I think it would be a great project knife for those of you who want to learn that, you know, learn the skills of putting a micro bevel on a blade like this. Maybe you want to build out your own set of handle scales. This is a very simplistic handle design, so you could learn how to like do micarta or different materials, wood, you know, whatever. So this would be a great like test knife for that. And if maybe you want to go drop 300 bucks on like a big high-end chopper, but you want a little Scandi knife that you're just not into Moras. I don't know who's not into a Mora, but maybe you're not. You don't see the need to drop 100 more on a BECKER tweener like this. Now for me personally, I would always prefer to buy USA made whenever I have the choice or support our Scandinavian brethren. But for some people, if you're just wanting a very low budget, but performing collection of knives, or you just want to try something different, this is definitely worth investigating. I hope that this video has just been fun, entertaining, but also giving you the data you need to determine if this is worth putting in a budget collection and start using on your next bushcraft adventure, or you're gonna stick with tried and true Moras and blades like that. Always appreciate it, you spending the time with me today. Check out the other video popping up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.